I'm sorry, it stopped. We'll go back to verse 9. They enter at the windows like a thief. The earth shall tremble before them. The heavens shall shake. Sun and moon shall be darkened, and the stars withdraw their brightness. Okay, so this is verse 8. And this concludes that matter there. But you can see that these men who are considered the beasts of the earth, okay, there's 4 beasts we know of. But this last beast is the one that is going to completely just bring the world to judgment, and to bring the judgment of the Father, and just bring it into complete havoc and chaos before the day of the Most High. So this is what this is all alluding to. Let's go ahead and close this chapter out. Read the latter 9 verses, and we'll go ahead and close this Revelation 6 out and prepare for Revelation 7 tomorrow. Verse 9, and he opened the 5th seal. And when he opened the 5th seal, I saw under the slaughter place the beings of those having been slain for the word of Elohim and for the witness which they held. And they cried out with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Master, set apart and true, until you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on earth? And there was given to each one a white robe, and they were told that they should rest a little while longer, until both the number of their fellow servants and their brothers, who would be killed as they were, was completed. And I looked when he opened the 6th seal, and saw a great earthquake came to be, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of the heavens fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its unripe figs, being shaken by a strong wind. And heaven departed like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. And the sovereigns of the earth, and the great ones, and the rich ones, and the commanders, and the mighty, and every slave, and every free one, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us and hide us from the face of him sitting on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, because the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand? So when we look at this, at the 9th verse, right? The 5th seal opened, and those who had been slain or slaughtered or martyred for the word of Elohim and placed under the particular altar, we can see this back in Matthew 23, and we're going to look at verses 29 through 35. This is what Yahushua speaks. 29 through 35. He says, Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and decorate the monuments of the righteous. You build the tombs of the prophets and you decorate the monuments of the righteous. But guess who you killed? You killed these very prophets. And you say, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we would have not taken part with them in the blood of the prophets. Thus you bear witness against yourselves that you are sons of those who did murder the prophets. You are. And these scribes and Pharisees who betrayed the Messiah and betrayed their own nation and find themselves aligning with the Romans, or carrying out the Roman and the when I say satanic, it means the adversarial role of the dragon. Okay, you see that in Revelation 12. So verse 32, and you fill up the measure of your fathers. Serpents, brood of adders, how would you escape the judgment of Gehenna? Because of this, see, I send you prophets and wise men and scholars of Scripture. Some of them you shall kill and impale, and some of them you shall flog in your congregations and persecute from city to city, so that on you should come all the righteous blood shed on the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel or Abel to the blood of Zekaryah, son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the dwelling place and the slaughter place or the altar. So this is nothing new that you see that is manifesting here. Let's also go ahead to Revelation 12 and look at verse 1 and understand this here. We're going to read several verses into this. It says this, Revelation 12:1, and a great sign was seen in the heaven, a woman clad with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. This is Israel. Please understand that. And being pregnant, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign was seen in the heaven, and see, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his head. And his tail draws a third of the stars of the heaven and throws them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. So you can see that war taking place, which has been continuous in Scripture. It goes back, as a matter of fact, all the way to the 4th chapter of Genesis, which we're about to go and read. The 10th verse, or several verses besides the 10th, but we're going to get into there. We're going to look at the first, let's say, 8 verses. And Adam knew Chawvah, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have gained a man, Yah. And again she gave birth to his brother Habel, and Habel became a keeper of sheep, but Cain became a tiller of the ground. And it came to be in the course of time that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to Yah. And Habel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And Yah looked to Habel and his offering, but he did not look to Cain and his offering. And Cain was very wroth, and his face fell. And Yah said to Cain, why is he wroth towards you? And why is your face fallen? Is it not, if you do good, you are to be accepted? And if you do not do good, towards the door is sin. He is lying, and towards you is his desire, and you must rule over him. And Cain told Habel his brother. And it came to be, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Habel his brother and killed him. So this is the spirit that has been in the sons of men from the very beginning, or from 6,000 years ago. I won't get into the details of that, but this has been a present and very apparent spirit in the sons of men that has been murderous and seeking to kill those who bear the truth, and martyr those who possess the commandments of Yah and the testimony of Yahushua. Now, the thing about Cain, and let's just make this clear, when you read like the book of Jasher, it speaks about how Habel went with his father and learned how to provide the appropriate offerings that the father had commanded Adam to bring him, whereas Cain was like, man, whatever, I'm going to do what I want to do. Okay, and as a result of him not knowing how to present a proper and acceptable offering, his was rejected. But in being rejected, his flesh rose up. His jealousy and envy rose up about his brother Habel. Okay, you can see the same thing with Ishmael in relationship to Yitzhak, the jealousy and envy that Ishmael had, understanding that he was a firstborn and thinking everything was his. No. You can see the same thing with Esau in relationship to Yaakov. Okay, in this war between the spirit, the promise, the seed of promise, the spiritual seed, and the carnal seed has been continuous. Okay, so this is all Revelation 6 and verses 7 and 8 right now. What we're talking about is, and 9 is talking about. Okay, so when we look to verse 10 and talk about this blood avenger, okay, this one who will avenge the blood, we're going to look at a couple of verses. We're going to look at Numbers 35. This is kind of lengthy, but I may close it down a little bit. We're going to look at Numbers 35. Let's just look at 15 through 19. It says, these 6 cities are for refuge for the children of Israel, and for the sojourner, and for the settler in the midst, for anyone who mistakenly strikes someone to flee there. So if they accidentally murder someone, if they mistakenly kill someone, these 6 cities are for refuge. But if he has stricken him with an instrument of iron so that he dies, he is a murderer. So if he intentionally has an iron instrument and strikes someone, he is a murderer. The murderer shall certainly be put to death. And if he has stricken him with a stone in the hand, by which one could die, and he does die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall certainly be put to death. And if he has stricken him with a wooden instrument that could kill, and he does die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall certainly be put to death. The revenger of blood himself puts the murderer to death. When he meets him, he puts him to death. Now, let's look at this. We're going to go to Isaiah. And I do believe it is the 61st verse or chapter. 63rd chapter. We're going to look at the first 4 verses. It reads as follows. Who is this coming from Edom, with garments of glowing colors from Botzrah, who is robed in splendor, striding forward in the greatness of his strength? It is I who speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Why is there red on your raiment and your garments like one who treads in the winepress? I have trodden the winepress alone, and from the peoples no one was with me. And I trod them down in my displeasure, and I trampled them in my wrath. Their blood is sprinkled upon my garments, and I have defiled all my raiment. For a day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed has come. So this is a picture of the conquering lion of the tribe of Yehudah smiting all the enemies of the Most High and causing them to be destroyed. Pretty much no other way to put it. The wicked ones on the earth. We're going to go on now and see how these martyrs are to be avenged, but the time has not yet come, but there will come a time when this vengeance will be made expressly known. Okay? So the white robes, again, these are those who have been redeemed from the earth, and their white robes, or the clear and white fine linen, is their righteousness. They have been righteous throughout the earth. They have endured their trials. They have overcome the world through their faith, and they have received their white robes, as you see in verse 11 of chapter 6 of Revelation, and they would then be risen at the resurrection. Now verse 12, you see a 6th seal being opened, and a great earthquake came to be, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon is blood. So when we look at that there, we can see in Isaiah 13 a similar matter taking place as far as earthquakes. What is that? Verse 12. That's verse 12. So Isaiah 13, we're going to look at verses 6 through 13. It says, how? For the day of Yah is near. It has come. How? For the day of Yah is near. It comes as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands go limp. Every man's heart melts, and they shall be afraid. Pains and sorrows take hold of them. They are in pain as a woman in labor. They are amazed at one another, their faces aflame. See, the day of Yah is coming, fierce with the wrath and heat of displeasure, to lay the earth waste and destroy its sinners from it. For the stars of the heaven and their constellations do not give off their light. The sun shall be dark at its rising, and the moon not send out its light. And I shall punish the world for its evil, and the wrong for their crookedness, and shall put an end to the arrogance of the proud, and lay low the pride of the ruthless. I shall make mortal man scarcer than fine gold, and mankind scarcer than the gold of Ophir. So I shall make the heavens tremble, and the earth shall shake from her place, in the wrath of Yah of hosts, and in the day of the heat of his displeasure. We're also going to look at the book of Haggai and see how the earth shall shake and shall wobble in its place as a result of this judgment that is to come. We're going to look at the 2nd chapter, the 6th and the 7th verse. It says this, Haggai 2, 6 and 7. For thus said Yah of hosts, once more in a little while, and I am shaking the heavens and earth, the sea and dry land, and I shall shake all the nations, and they shall come to the delight of all the nations, and I shall fill this house with esteem, said Yah of hosts. So these are birth pains. What is taking place, you're seeing these birth pains taking place. The earth is just toppling right now. There's earthquakes, sinkholes, all kinds of natural phenomena. Whether or not they are from HAARP, or whether or not they are naturally taking place because of the axis shifting or whatever have you, the caps melting, whatever have you, whatever reason, it was said that this was going to happen. So it's all under the providence of the Most High, regardless of how it's happening. The point of the matter is, it is happening. Okay. So this is a matter of how the earth shall become black. The earth shall shake. The sun black as sackcloth of hair. The moon is blood. We can also read that in the book of Yoel, which also talks about that. But we're familiar with that one. Stars of the heaven fell to the earth, and as a fig tree drops its unripe figs being shaken by a strong wind. So this, a lot of times people look at it like literal stars, not understanding that the stars of the heaven are also talking about Israel. And so the Israelites have been cast out of heaven, which is the land of Israel, on earth. Heaven on earth is Israel, to earth, okay? And a fig tree drops its unripe figs. We can look at this in Matthew 24 in verses 32 and 33 to get an understanding of this, which reads as follows. Learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that the summer is near. So you also, when you see all these, know that he is near at the door. So this is just a sign. These are signs. All these things are signs. Okay. There was another passage I was thinking of. We wanted to read Lamentations. And we went over this in the Kingdom of Heaven on Earth series. But this is here. It reads as follows. How Yah in his displeasure, this is Lamentations 2:1. How Yah in his displeasure has covered the daughter of Zion with the cloud. He has cast down from the heavens to the earth the comeliness of Israel, and has not remembered his footstool in the day of his displeasure. So he has cast from heaven to earth the comeliness of Israel. These are his children. The comeliness are his people. Okay? And when he cast them down to the earth, they fell from heaven. Okay? The same thing when you read Genesis 5, and it's talking about the Nephilim. It's not talking about literal angels having intercourse with women, because angels do not have intercourse with women. Okay? When you read about the resurrection, and Yahushua is asked about the resurrection, whose wife shall she be? He says they shall be like the angels of heaven, neither marrying or giving into marriage. So that lets you know angels don't need to reproduce. That's not their business. Their business is praising the Father and carrying out his will. Okay, that is their business. We're wrapping this up. Verse 14, the heavens departed like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. We're seeing now mountains and islands being formed from volcanoes and earthquakes. We're seeing them being moved out of their place because of the increase of the sea level. We're seeing all this stuff take place before our very eyes right now. Okay? But to understand why the heavens are going to roll up like a scroll, let's read Isaiah again. A lot of this is coming from the language Isaiah had used prior even to Yachanan receiving this message, this vision. We're going to look at Isaiah 34, verse 8 verses. Come near, you nations, to hear, and listen, you people. Let the earth hear and all that is in it, the world and all its offspring. For the displeasure of Yah is against all the nations. This is why this is taking place. His displeasure is against all the nations, and his wrath against their divisions, all their divisions. He shall put them under the ban. He shall give them over to the slaughter, and their slain be thrown out, and their stench rise from their corpses, and mountains shall be melted with their blood, and all the host of the heavens shall rot away, and the heavens shall be rolled up like a scroll, and all their hosts fade like a leaf fading on the vine, and like the fading of one of a fig tree. For my sword shall be drenched in the heavens. Look, it comes down on Edom, and on the people of my curse for judgment. The sword of Yah shall be filled with blood, and it shall be made overflowing with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For Yah has a slaughtering in Botzrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Edom. And wild oxen shall come down with them, and young bulls with bulls. And their land shall be drenched with blood, and their dust made with fatness. For it is the day of the vengeance of Yah, the year of recompense for the cause of Zion. This is why, because his land and his people have been molested. Now, they have done some things themselves. We as Israelites have done some things that have been worthy of being punished. But Yah punishes us only to get us back in line. He disciplines us. We read that in Revelation 3. He disciplines us. But when the nations take out their own anger and frustration and hate against us and desecrate us in our culture, in our Torah, which is of the heavens, that is where the problem truly has its root. And this is why judgment shall take place. We're going to go ahead and get ready to close this out. Isaiah 2, verses 12 through 22, as relates to verse 15, which talks about these people wanting to be hidden. Hide. Let us hide. This is Isaiah 2, verses 12 through 22, which reads as follows. For Yah of hosts has a day against all that is proud and lofty. He hates the prideful. He hates those who boast in their vanities. Okay? Against all that is lifted up so that it is brought low. And against all the cedars of Lebanon that are high on and lifted up, and against all the oaks of Bashan, and against all the high mountains, and against all the hills that are lifted up, and against every lofty tower, and every strong wall, against all the ships of Tarshish, against all their desirable craft. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the pride of men shall be brought low. And Yah alone shall be exalted in that day, and the idols completely pass away. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks, and into the caves of the earth, from dread of Yah and the splendor of his excellency, when he arises to shake the earth mightily. In that day man shall throw away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made, each for himself to worship, to the moles and bats, to go into the clefts of the rock, and into the crags of the rugged rocks, because of the fear of Yah and the splendor of his excellency, when he arises to shake the earth mightily. Cease from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for in what is he to be reckoned upon? What is he? In what is he to be reckoned upon? Okay, if he's not truly in the form of Mashiach, he's really not alive. He is dead. He is formless and void. This is what Genesis 1 is truly about. Yah is trying to bring back the image and likeness which he has created upon earth to be here, for his esteem, for his praise. Okay, why is he to be praised? Because he is the creator and maker of everything that you see, including you and myself. So these are things that we have to get back to. We got to get back to the basic rudimentary elements of existence and understand them from that standpoint, that there is a far intelligent design and mind that has brought all of this together. It is not random. It could never be random. Okay. And then it asks in the 17th verse, who can stand on the day of Yah? Who is able to stand? Well, let's go ahead and look at Psalm 1. And we're going to close out with this here. It says, blessed is the man who shall not walk in the counsel of the wrong, and shall not stand in the path of sinners, and shall not sit in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the Torah of Yah, and he meditates in his Torah day and night. For he shall be as a tree planted by the rivers of water, that yields its fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither, and whatever he does prospers. The wrong are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind blows away. Therefore the wrong shall not rise in the judgment. Who shall stand in that day? The wrong won't. If you are in error, you will not stand. Okay? Therefore the wrong shall not rise in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. Sinfulness will not get you into the congregation of the righteous. For Yah knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wrong comes to naught. This is what we have to understand. All this is to shake the world up, to bring it back into reality. We are not living in reality. We are living in a pseudo form of reality. This is not reality. Reality television, these entertainers, this money, these laws, these politicians, this entire incorporated system that we know of is counterfeit and is satanic. No other way to put it. And so these four horses are to shake the world up. Every plague that you read that comes forth after this chapter is to shake the world up into repentance and to get them to understand what is reality and who is in control. This is what this is all about. So I pray that we continue to seek for these manifestations of reality and dig deeper into our life and really reason and struggle and wrestle with every idea that we have in order to bring it into the obedience of Mashiach. This is what this is about. It's real, y'all. It's really real. And I pray that you can hear the passion and intensity in my voice. And I pray I receive it as well, because, you know, we all got to tighten our ships up. We got to get the deck clean, and we got to make sure everything is in order, because time is nigh. We can look at the signs and see them everywhere. Everywhere, okay? So with that, Yivarecha Yahuwah vayishmerecha, Ya'ar Yahuwah panav alecha vayichnucha, Yisa Yahuwah panav alecha vayisan lecha shalom. May Yah bless you and keep you. May Yah cause his countenance to shine upon you and be kind unto you. May Yah lift up his face unto you and give you shalom, one love, shalom uvracha, peace and blessings.